My dear spiritual viewers and subscribers, I welcome you to my 140th video of my YouTube channel, Writer Sandhanam Speaks, as well to the 16th episode on the Tamil sage Thirumoolar. In my last episode, I had elaborately explained about the phony gurus who sell their bogus spiritual words to the willing victims, enriching their ill-gotten wealth, and how the blind guru and blind disabled together fall into the ditch, never to get up again to see the light. Quoting poet Thirumoolar. In this episode, Thirumoolar explains the vain effort by all sections of people among us, acquiring impermanent material wealth which they cannot carry on during their last funeral journey. Thirumoolar and other spiritual poets say in one voice, within quote, "You are born naked and you will die naked." But Thirumoolar, being a mystical and divine poet, uses in his poems such images, examples, metaphors and similes so that they are easier for the people to understand the essence of his teachings. By these examples, the learner learns the lesson quickly and effectively. The ancient Indian Upanishads contain the essence of teaching, among other things, in the Mahavakyas, like that thou art, Aham Brahmasmi, Ayam Atman, Prajnanam Brahmam, occasionally bringing in short stories, incidents and similes to explain the truth. Whereas the later written epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata carried these Upanishad truths in story form on a large scale so that the general public got the message easily. They also found these stories appealing to them as they witnessed these characters as replica of the living human beings amidst them. There are always Ramas and Ravanas, or Arjunas and Duryodhanas, or Othellos and Iagos in society, maybe bearing different names, modern names too. While Ravana was obsessed with Sita, Duryodhana with vast land and empire. These stories tell the sad end of their lives, losing their possessions, thus teaching the lesson of detachment. And they point out that human life and possessions are a passing phenomena. Great poets like Valmiki, Vyasa, Homer, Shakespeare, Tamil, Kamban, Thiruvalluvar and Thirumoolar, taking hold of examples, metaphors, similes, taught this vital lesson. One such poem by Thirumoolar from his Thirumandiram, I have taken up now, gives the example of human shadow as an instrument of instruction. Let me recite it, and the English translation follows. தன்னது சாயை தனக்குதவாது கண்டு என்னது மாடு என்று இருப்பர்கள் ஏழைகள். உன்னுயிர் போம் உடலோக்கப் பிறந்தது கண்ணது கான் ஒளி கண்டு கொள்ளீரே. Translation. On seeing one's shadow being unhelpful to him, still the poor man thinks, all my possessions are mine. Remember the life too, born with your body, departs. Hence, see the eye compassionate and its light bright. Here, the divine poet Thirumoolar compares man's nearest and dearest shadow to his possessions. He raises a question whether man's shadow is helpful or unhelpful. His shadow stops when he stops and walks when he walks. But does it give him shelter from the scorching sun? That is a question. Not at all. On seeing yonder a tree, he goes there, stands under its shade, and takes shelter. Meanwhile, he looks around and finds his shadow acting as the will-o'-the-wisp till then, disappearing. Thirumoolar shifts his simile of shadow to man's breathing life and its temporary residence, the body. On the life departing, its dearest body departs too to the funeral ground. man loses his shadowy possession during his lonely funeral journey. That is the message. By this inimitable commonplace wisdom and with this telling comparison, that is effective comparison, Thirumoolar exposes the impermanence of wealth owned by the equally impermanent body. Thirumoolar's instruction lies in the last line. I the I, within quote, I the I, which is effulgent and compassionate light, quotation ends. While the first I indicates the fleshy I, the second I with a capital E indicates the compassionate light. Another Tamil sage, Sri Ramalinga Swami, endearingly called Vallalar, the munificent philanthropist, endorses his predecessor's Thirumoolar and his sweet Tamil verse like this. வெய்யிற்கு ஒதுங்கு உதவா உடம்பின் வெறு நிழல் போல் கையில் பொருள் உதவாது காணும் கடைவெளிக்கே. Translated, like one's bare shadow not helpful to escape from the sun's heat, so also the wealth possessed by man will not be of any help to him on his last journey. Quotation ends. Again a small diversion. In English language there is an idiom, a shadow of himself, within quote, pointing out the present personality who was a powerful one in his earlier days becomes nobody stripped of his powers. This idiomatic phrase, I guess, might have been taken out from the poet and dramatist Shakespeare in his play King Lear, where the one-time mighty King Lear, on his being stripped of his empire by his two ungrateful daughters, laments, standing under the biting, raining, snow-falling sky like this. I read out the two lines, which contains a question by the king who almost lost his mind, and the reply by his servant fool. In Shakespeare plays, all the fools are the real wise men in disguise. Let me read it out from the King Lear, Act 1, Scene 4, only two lines. The king: who is it that can tell me who I am? Fool: answer, Lear's shadow. My tested message on the outcome of these poems is, let us not forget the underlying wisdom that nothing in this world is permanent, which gives permanent happiness. Hence, let us earn our possession through rightful means to fulfill our basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter. Beyond that, to put it in the words of U.G. Krishnamurti, is self-deception, within quote. Here, self-deception indicates illusion of wealthy arrogance. One may ask, what about one's progeny? That is the sons and daughters. Here, should we not save and leave our possessions to them? No objection in looking after your children, but do not hoard wealth which may be misused by your progeny, besides making them the idle rich, within quote, leading to undesirable results. Instead, save and impart to them your knowledge and wisdom, and self-educating yourself first. In various inspiring poems, sages foretell that instead of your wealth, your knowledge, wisdom, and actions alone will accompany you on your last journey, helpful in your succeeding births. Friends, you cannot smuggle your possessions into your next birth, but wisdom and actions you can, as Buddha declared. Thirumoolar goes on one step ahead in stating that if one renounces his possessions even in this birth, he becomes a sage and a Jivan Mukta who sees the effulgent light and merges into it, enjoying eternal naked happiness with no burden of possession. Hope you are all enjoyed this Thirumoolar's scintillating figurative poem and its profound meaning. Thank you.